hell of a, she's so fine. Hell of a, blows my mind. Hell of a, lights my day.
What's good, guys? I wanted to do a video regarding Jonathan Pryce. And if you are unfamiliar with that name, we are walking two different paths in life. This is from the Texas Monthly via their website. The article wrote by Peter Hawley is titled, Jonathan Pryce was Wolf City's hometown hero. On Saturday, he was killed by police. His friends, both black and white, confront the reality of police brutality in their quiet hometown. I'll come back to the images. For months, Jonathan Pryce had been watching the protests against police brutality with interest. But the 31-year-old's reaction to the movement seemed to defy categorization. He prayed for George Floyd, but worried that, quote, aggressive rioting, end quote, after his death would only lead to more racial profiling and violence. He believed in the importance of the Black Lives Matter movement, but remained adamant that his own interactions with police, as a black man living in North Texas, had been generally positive. Mostly, though, Pryce, a one-time high school football star and charismatic mentor with an infectious smile, seemed intent on living a life that wasn't defined by his race. Quote, I'm on the same fence as Lil Wayne, with him saying a white cop saved his life, end quote. Pryce wrote on his Facebook page earlier this year, referring to the New Orleans rapper's claim that a white police officer saved his life after he shot himself as a child. Quote, not saying black lives don't matter, but don't forget about your own or your experiences through growth, end quote. Pryce's experience growing up in Wolf City, a 1,500-person town about an hour northeast of Dallas, where less than 2% of the population is black, was different than that of many of the kids he came up with. Raised by a single mom who kept busy working multiple jobs, he credited two local families, both of them white, with helping to feed him and keep him active in sports. Years later, as an adult, he still referred to the Malones and Woodruffs as his, quote, second family, end quote. Later on, as a standout defensive back on Wolf City's high school football squad in the early aughts, the teenager became something of a hometown hero. Quote, I just grew up knowing him as the star athlete who was going to do big things someday, remembered J.C. Harrington, who said she looked up to Pryce 4 years her senior. He was known as the stand-up guy who beat the odds, end quote. After spending some time playing football at Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Pryce worked as a personal trainer in Dallas, friends said, but would return to Wolf City to give inspirational talks to local athletes, work with kids, and check up on the town he still considered home. Quote, Coach Pryce, end quote, became his nickname. Quote, to know him, end quote, one longtime friend wrote on Facebook this weekend, is to love him completely, end quote. He would eventually move back to care for his mother and grandmother, friends said, taking a job with the city and once again becoming, in the words of one local, a, quote, pillar of the community, end quote. None of that mattered on Saturday night, when Pryce wound up at a local gas station he'd visited too many times to count. Friends and family members say witnesses told them that the beloved athlete was trying to break up a domestic dispute of some kind before Wolf City police officer Sean David Lucas arrived. A rookie, Lucas tried to detain Pryce, who resisted in a, quote, non-threatening posture, end quote, and began walking away from Lucas when the officer tased Pryce and then opened fire, killing him, according to a statement from the Texas Rangers. Witnesses claim he was shot in the back, but the Rangers haven't commented on that allegation. Pryce went unarmed before he was shot, and the argument was over by the time Lucas arrived, friends and relatives said. Late Monday, the Rangers arrested Lucas and charged him with Pryce's murder. Quote, the preliminary investigation indicates that the actions of Officer Lucas were not objectionably reasonable, end quote, the statement added, noting that the Rangers are cooperating with the Wolf City Police Department and the Hunt County District Attorney's Office. Hunt County Jail records show that Lucas was booked on a $1 million bond. Though Dallas has been the scene of numerous Black Lives Matter demonstrations, Wolf City has remained largely disconnected from the movement for racial justice. Now, area residents who knew Price, even those with close ties to local law enforcement, maintain there is no avoiding the reason that Price was killed. Quote, "I totally believe he died because of the color of his skin," said Katie Walden, 33, who has been friends with Price since middle school. "There's no other excuse. He wasn't violent at all. A cop rolled up and saw a white and black man in some sort of disagreement and assumed Jonathan was the problem. But there was not a mean or angry bone in his body," end quote. Will Middlebrooks, a former professional baseball player who grew up with Price and created a GoFundMe page after his friend's death, called Price's killing, quote, "purely an act of racism," end quote. Quote, "What's really sickening is that he was doing the right thing. He saw a man putting his hands on a woman and stepped in to stop the altercation," Middlesbrough told ABC affiliate KTXS. "The man then fought him. Then the police shot him. He was unarmed. I'm heartbroken," end quote. Reached by phone, the Wolf City Mayor's office referred all questions to the Texas Rangers. The Wolf City Police Department did not immediately respond to a request for interview. At a press conference turned candlelight vigil Monday, Lee Merritt, a prominent civil rights attorney representing the Price family, said police have yet to provide his clients with details about Price's death, though investigators are in possession of video from the incident. Though Lucas's arrest is the first step toward justice, Price's community, which extended beyond Wolf City into the small towns across Hunt County, is only just beginning to process their loss. One of those struggling to do so in recent days was Katie Walden's 71-year-old father, Don Morrison. Sorry guys, my phone went dead. A former NFL linebacker who played for the New Orleans, it just says for the New Orleans, alongside Archie Manning, Morrison went on to become a 4-term constable in Hunt County after his playing days ended. It was in that role that the 6'5", 250-pound white lawman came to know and love Price, the hard-working local kid with a sort of rare athletic talent that only another former player could fully appreciate. The men loved to talk football whenever they run into each other. Quote, "Jonathan always talked about my dad being a local hero and a beast of a man," said Walden. The past 2 days, she said her father was called to talk about Jonathan. Both times, she said, he broke down crying. Quote, "The only other time I've seen my dad cry was when his father passed away," she added. "That shows you what kind of person Jonathan was. My dad doesn't cry." Now, one other article. This article then came out 2 hours ago from USA Today. It says attorney claims Texas officer Sean Lucas acted in accordance with state law in fatal shooting of Jonathan Price. Wrote by Jessica Flores of USA Today. This is an attorney for the white Texas police officer charged for murder after fatally shooting a black man outside of a convenience store last weekend, said his client discharged his weapon, quote, "in accordance with Texas law," end quote, after Jonathan Price tried to take away his taser. Come on, man. The Texas Rangers charged Wolf City officer Sean Lucas with murder on Monday night. The 22-year-old was booked into the Hunt County Jail, where his bail was set at $1 million according to jail records. Quote, "Officer Lucas only discharged his weapon in accordance with Texas law when he was confronted with an aggressive assailant who was attempting to take his taser," end quote. Robert L. Rogers, the attorney, told USA Today in an emailed statement Tuesday. Lucas shot Price after responding to a disturbance call Saturday night, quote, "for a possible fight in progress," end quote, officials said. The officer tried to detain Price, quote, "who resisted in a non-threatening posture and began walking away," end quote, according to the Rangers statement. Lucas then used a taser on Price before shooting him with his service weapon off officials said. Quote, the preliminary investigation indicates that the actions of Officer Lucas were not objectionably reasonable, end quote, officials said. Lucas had been with the Wolf City Police Department for less than 6 months, according to records from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. He previously worked as a jailer with the Hunt County Sheriff's Office for about 5 months. Price was a former Hardin-Simmons University student and football player. He worked in his hometown as a city employee and personal trainer. Kyla Sanders, who was at the store across the street at the time of the shooting, told WFAA-TV that Price was a, quote, pillar of the community, end quote. The 31-year-old's mother, Marcella Lewis, said she was able to sleep Monday night after learning of the officer's arrest. Quote, my son didn't deserve this, she said. He really didn't. He helped everybody in this community and had a big heart and spirit. I'm going to miss just seeing his smiling face. Civil rights attorney Lee Merritt, who's representing Price's family, said the murder charge is a, quote, step, end quote, toward justice. Quote, this is step one. Let's see it through to justice, end quote, Merritt said on Twitter. So, in defense, even though there is video floating, which we have not seen yet, or at least I have not seen, this officer, Lucas, who has been with this Wolf City, or Hunt County, rather, I guess you could just say Hunt County, for a little over a year, is going to say that he was confronted with an aggressive assailant. And pretty much everybody knows that that's not true, but that's going to be the position the attorney is going to take on this. So, I just wanted to bring this story, and I'm going to continue to follow this all the way out. So, I wanted to show you a couple of pictures of Price. Alright, this is from Fox 4 News, unfortunately. But this is a picture of Price over on the left, and that is Officer Lucas over on the right. Again, this is Officer Lucas on the left and Jonathan Price over on the right. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.